Three best friends in their 20s set out for a dream backpacking trip through the misty forests of Olympic National Park, laughing and linking arms as they vanished into the wilderness without a trace. For weeks, search teams combed the rugged trails in vain, until a hidden trail camera revealed the one person who had been watching their every move. A park ranger with secrets darker than the ancient woods. But what he captured would expose a chilling truth that no one saw coming. The scream echoed through the dense canopy of Olympic National Park like a knife slicing the air. It was July 15, 2005, a warm afternoon heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. Sofia Ramirez, 24, clutched her chest, her wide brown eyes scanning the underbrush where the sound had come from. Beside her, Mia Chen, 25, froze mid-step, her backpack straps digging into her shoulders. "What was that?" Mia whispered, her voice barely audible over the rustle of leaves. Lila Patel, 23, the group's unofficial leader with her quick smile and endless energy, pushed ahead a few feet, peering into the shadows. "Probably just an animal. Come on, guys, we're almost to the campsite." But as they moved forward, the unease lingered, a silent companion on their once joyful adventure. These three women had been inseparable since college, bonded by late-night study sessions and shared dreams of exploring the world. Sofia, a graphic designer from Seattle, had planned this trip meticulously, maps marked with highlighter, permits secured, emergency kits packed. Mia, a budding journalist, brought her camera to capture every moment. Lila, working as a teacher, saw it as a chance to unplug from the chaos of city life. They chose Olympic National Park for its raw beauty, towering firs, fog-shrouded valleys, and trails that promised solitude. Starting from the Ho Rainforest trailhead, they aimed for a 3-day loop, camping under the stars. "This is our reset," Lila had said that morning, arms around her friends as they posed for a photo, the same one that would later haunt missing persons posters. By evening, they reached their first campsite near a rushing creek. Tents up, fire crackling, they shared stories and s'mores, the forest alive around them. But as night fell, something shifted. Sofia woke to footsteps outside her tent, soft but deliberate. She nudged Mia. "Did you hear that?" Mia, half asleep, mumbled no. Lila, in the third tent, stirred too. The next morning they brushed it off as wildlife, packed up, and continued deeper into the park. Unbeknownst to them, they weren't alone. Park Ranger Harlan Brooks, a 42-year-old veteran with a weathered face and a reputation for being overly vigilant, had been patrolling nearby. Assigned to monitor backcountry permits, he often lingered longer than needed, his binoculars scanning hikers from afar. The disappearance hit the news like a storm. On July 18th, when the women failed to check out at the trail's end, Sofia's brother reported them missing. Olympic National Park rangers launched a search immediately, helicopters buzzing overhead, dogs sniffing the ground. The park, spanning nearly 1 million acres of wilderness, was a labyrinth. Steep ridges, hidden ravines, and weather that could turn deadly in hours. Incident Command set up at the visitor center, maps pinned with red tacks marking their planned route. "These girls are prepared," lead ranger Elena Vasquez told volunteers. "But the forest doesn't care about plans." For days, teams scoured the trails. They found the women's abandoned campsite, tents slashed open, gear scattered like a struggle had occurred. A single hiking boot, Mia's size, lay muddied by the creek. No blood, no notes, just chaos. The sight crushed their families. Sofia's mother collapsed at the news, whispering, she promised she'd call. Media swarmed, headlines screaming, "Vanished in the wild." Theories exploded online: bear attack, foul play, or simply lost in the fog. Ranger Brooks was one of the first on scene. He reported seeing the women on day one, checking their permits with a nod. "Seemed fine," he told investigators, his voice steady. But something in his eyes, a flicker, made Vasquez pause. Brooks had a clean record, but locals whispered about his isolation, his cabin deep in the park where he lived alone after a messy divorce. Still, with no evidence, the search pressed on. Weeks dragged into a blur of false hopes. A volunteer found a scrap of fabric matching Lila's jacket, snagged on a thorn bush miles off trail. It led to a ravine, but nothing more. Then, a tip from a hiker who claimed to hear cries near Salduke Falls. Teams rappelled down, finding only echoes. The emotional toll mounted. Mia's father flew in from California, joining searches daily, his face gaunt. "They're out there," he insisted, voice breaking. As hope faded, the case went cold. Families held vigils, candles flickering against photos of the smiling trio. But in the park's records office, a forgotten detail waited. Trail cameras, installed to monitor wildlife, dotted the area. One, hidden near the women's path, had captured footage no one thought to check until a tech-savvy volunteer suggested it. When they pulled the tape, hearts stopped. There, in grainy black and white, were Sophia, Mia, and Lila hiking single file. Then, a figure in the shadows, Ranger Brooks, watching from behind a tree, binoculars raised. He followed at a distance, unseen by the women. The timestamp matched the night of the scream. What was he doing? Why hadn't he mentioned it? The discovery reignited everything. Investigators hauled Brooks in for questioning. He claimed he was just patrolling, ensuring safety. But cracks appeared. His alibi for the disappearance night, alone in his cabin. No witnesses. Deeper digs revealed more. Brooks had a history of complaints, hikers feeling watched, women especially. One report from 2003, a solo female camper accused him of following her, dismissed as paranoia. Now it screamed pattern. Forensic teams revisited the campsite. Under UV light, faint boot prints emerged, matching Ranger-issued boots. Not definitive, but damning. Then, the breakthrough. A hair sample on the slashed tent, not matching the women. DNA rush. It was Brooks. Confronted, Brooks broke. Tears streaming, he confessed. He'd been obsessed, lonely, fixated on the beautiful group. That night he approached their camp intending to help. But panic set in. An argument escalated. Sophia fought back. In rage, he struck. It spiraled. One dead, then all. Bodies hidden in a remote crevice he knew from patrols. The recovery was grim. Divers found them in a lake off trail, weighted down. Autopsies confirmed. Blunt force, drowning. Families shattered, but closure came. Brooks sentenced to life. The park installed more cameras, changed protocols. But the woods remember. If this story gripped you, hit like and subscribe for more chilling tales. The women's legacy? A scholarship for female adventurers reminding us nature's beauty hides dangers, and sometimes the watcher is the threat. As the case wrapped, questions lingered. Why did Brooks snap? His ex-wife revealed abuse, isolation fueling darkness. Park officials admitted oversight, his psych eval outdated. Years later, hikers still whisper about the Ranger's ghost, a cautionary tale. For Sophia, Mia, and Lila, their trip ended in tragedy, but their bond endures in memory. The emotional core? The betrayal. A guardian turned predator. It shook trust in authority, sparking reforms. If you're hooked on these mysteries, like and sub for updates. Now, on to similar cases. But wait, one twist remained. In Brooks's cabin, a journal detailed watching other hikers. No more bodies, but close calls. Investigators cleared, but the chill? Permanent. The friends' families channeled grief into advocacy, pushing for better Ranger screening. Olympic now leads in safety. This tale warns, vigilance saves lives. Share if it moved you, and subscribe for more. The recovery of Sophia, Mia, and Lila's bodies sent shockwaves through Olympic National Park. A place once seen as a sanctuary now tainted by betrayal. Divers emerged from the cold lake waters on August 10, 2005, their faces grim as they pulled the weighted tarps free. The crevice, hidden beneath a waterfall's spray, had kept the women's remains preserved in eerie silence for weeks. Autopsies painted a brutal picture. Sophia's skull bore a fracture from a heavy blow, likely a rock wielded by Ranger Harlan Brooks. Mia and Lila showed signs of drowning, their lungs filled with lake water, suggesting a panicked struggle to survive. The evidence was a gut punch. Brooks' confession matched the scene, his ranger boots leaving prints near the water's edge. Back at the ranger station, investigators tore through Brooks' life. His cabin, a cluttered shack miles from civilization, held more than solitude. A locked box under his bed revealed photos. Dozens of hikers, mostly women, snapped from afar. Sophia, Mia, and Lila featured prominently, their smiles captured unaware. A journal, its pages stained with coffee, detailed his obsession. They laughed like they owned the forest. Too perfect. Had to watch closer. Entries grew darker, fixating on the night of July 15th. She screamed, "I didn't mean to. It just happened." His words, scribbled in haste, painted a man unraveling, loneliness twisting into rage. The trial began in November 2005, a media circus in Port Angeles. Brooks, shackled and hollow-eyed, pleaded guilty to 3 counts of manslaughter, avoiding a murder charge through a plea deal. Prosecutors argued intent, but his defense leaned on mental breakdown, divorce, isolation, no prior violence. The courtroom buzzed as families testified. Sophia's brother, Javier, wept, describing her dreams of designing nature-inspired art. Mia's father, silent for weeks, spoke of her love for stories, now silenced. Lila's mother clutched a photo, whispering, she wanted to teach kids about this world. The judge, moved but firm, sentenced Brooks to life without parole, his ranger badge stripped away. The park changed forever. Ranger Elena Vasquez, haunted by the oversight, pushed for reform. New protocols demanded annual psych evaluations, and trail cameras multiplied, their red lights blinking like silent sentinels. Hikers noticed the shift. More rangers, stricter rules, but whispers lingered. Some called Brooks's cabin cursed, avoiding it on patrols. Others swore they heard laughter in the fog, a ghost of the friend's last joy. Months later, a hiker found something odd near the lake, a small notebook, waterlogged but legible. Mia's handwriting filled the pages, trail notes, sketches of ferns, a final entry dated July 15th. Heard steps. Sophia's spooked. Hope it's nothing. It was a lifeline, a piece of her voice preserved. The find reopened wounds but offered closure. Families donated it to a local museum, a tribute to the women's spirit. Investigators dug deeper into Brooks' past. His ex-wife, Mara, came forward, revealing years of control and rage. He'd watch me too, she said, trembling. I left to save myself. A 2003 complaint from a solo camper, dismissed as hysteria, now rang true. Park officials faced scrutiny, admitting Brooks's last eval was 5 years old. The oversight fueled outrage, leading to a federal review of national park staffing. The women's legacy grew. Javier started the Sofia Ramirez Fund, offering grants to young women in outdoor pursuits. She'd want others to explore safely, he said at the launch. Mia's stories inspired a park pamphlet, Voices of the Wild, encouraging hikers to report odd behavior. Lila's school held an annual Patel Day, teaching kids wilderness safety. Their death sparked a movement turning tragedy into action. But questions remained. Why that night? Brooks' journal hinted at a trigger, perhaps Sophia's defiance when he approached their camp. The slashed tent suggested a cover-up, a rush to hide his crime. Divers found no other bodies, but the photos raised fears of near misses. A task force cleared old cases, finding no links, yet the unease persisted. For the families, healing began. Javier hiked the trail yearly, leaving flowers at the lake. Mia's father wrote a memoir, Lost in the Light, donating proceeds to the fund. Lila's mother planted a garden, its blooms a quiet memorial. The park, once their playground, became a place of remembrance. If this story gripped you, Hit like and subscribe for more chilling tales. The forest hides more secrets. Stay tuned. The discovery of Mia's notebook near the lake rippled through Olympic National Park, a fragile echo of the women's final hours that refused to fade. It was October 2005, the air crisp with autumn, when a solo hiker stumbled upon it wedged under a rock, its pages swollen but legible. The last entry: heard steps. Sophia's spooked. Hope it's nothing. Sent chills down the spine of Ranger Elena Vasquez, who held it with gloved hands at the station. It wasn't just evidence, it was Mia's voice, a plea frozen in time. The find reignited public interest. News vans rolling back into Port Angeles, reporters hounding families for reactions. Javier Ramirez, Sophia's brother, clutched the notebook at a press conference, tears streaking his face. "This is her," he said. "She was scared, and we weren't there." Investigators poured over the site again, the lake's edge now a grim focal point. Divers returned, mapping the crevice where Sophia, Mia, and Lila's bodies had been found. They uncovered a ranger-issued flashlight, its serial number tracing back to Harlan Brooks, buried in mud nearby. The detail tightened the noose, proof he'd lingered after the act. Forensic teams sifted through his cabin again, finding a torn map marked with the women's route, circled in red ink. His obsession wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. The journal's final pages hinted at a breaking point. "They laughed at me, thought I was nothing. Tonight, I'll show them." The words painted a man spiraling, his authority warped into vengeance. The park's overhaul accelerated. By December 2005, new cameras lined every major trail, their feeds monitored 24/7. Ranger training shifted, emphasizing mental health checks and de-escalation tactics. Elena Vasquez, now interim chief, pushed for a public hotline, urging hikers to report unease. "We failed them," she admitted in a park meeting, her voice steady but heavy. "This can't happen again." Locals embraced the changes, but some resented the intrusion, muttering about government overreach. Still, the women's families found solace in the reforms, seeing their daughters' deaths drive safety. Brooks, rotting in a maximum security prison, became a ghost story. Inmates whispered he'd confessed more to cellmates, vague tales of other close calls in the woods. Investigators reopened files from 2000-2005, cross-checking missing hiker reports. A 2002 case of a vanished camper near Quinault Ridge surfaced, but no DNA linked Brooks. The lack of closure gnawed at the team. Was he a serial watcher, or just a broken man who snapped once? His silence fueled speculation, tabloids spinning wild theories of a park-wide conspiracy. The families channeled grief into action. Javier's Sofia Ramirez Fund grew, funding a 2006 expedition for young women to summit Mount Olympus, a tribute to Sophia's love of heights. Mia's father, Daniel Chen, released Lost in the Light in early 2006, its pages raw with loss but hopeful, raising $50,000 for park safety gear. Lila's mother, Priya Patel, turned her garden into a community space, hosting workshops on wilderness survival. "Lila would have loved teaching this," she said, hands in the soil. The effort stitched a legacy from tragedy, drawing hikers nationwide to honor the trio. But the forest held secrets. In spring 2006, a ranger patrolling Solduke Falls found a rusted knife, its handle wrapped in duct tape, buried near a trail marker. It wasn't Brooks. His gear was cataloged, but the style matched poacher tools. Could someone else have been there that night? The knife yielded no prints, its origin lost to time. Elena ordered a discreet sweep of the area, finding old campsites, likely illegal, but no human remains. The discovery raised hairs. Had Brooks covered for another? Or was this a red herring from the park's rugged past? Public fascination grew. A documentary, Shadows of Olympus, aired in 2007, blending footage of the search with family interviews. It won awards but reopened wounds. Javier watched it alone, the notebook in hand, whispering, "We got justice, but not peace." Online forums buzzed, some claiming the women's spirits haunted the trails, others accusing park staff of a cover-up. The debate kept their story alive, a cautionary tale for adventurers. Meanwhile, Brooks' ex-wife, Mara, moved to Oregon, seeking distance. She'd testified about his controlling nature, how he'd tracked her movements pre-divorce. "He was always watching," she told a reporter, her voice breaking. The revelation added layers to his motive: control lost at home, sought in the wild. Investigators considered digging into his ranger logs for patterns, but funding dried up. The case deemed resolved. The park adapted. By 2008, a memorial plaque stood near the Ho trailhead, etched with the women's names and a line from Mia's notebook: "Hope in the wild." Hikers left flowers, a quiet pilgrimage. Elena, now chief, oversaw a safer park, but the weight never lifted. "I see their faces every patrol," she admitted to a colleague. If this story gripped you, hit like and subscribe for more chilling tales. The woods still whisper. Stay tuned. The memorial plaque near the Ho trailhead became a pilgrimage site by mid-2008, its bronze surface polished by countless hands leaving flowers and notes. Hikers spoke of Sophia, Mia, and Lila in hushed tones, their story woven into Olympic National Park's fabric like the roots of its ancient trees. But beneath the quiet reverence, a new thread emerged, tugging at the edges of the resolved case. It was June 2008, a misty morning, when Ranger Elena Vasquez received a call from a volunteer patrolling Solduke Falls. "Found something weird," the voice crackled. She rushed over, her boots sinking into the damp earth, to find a small leather pouch half buried near the rusted knife site. Inside, a silver locket, its clasp broken, holding a faded photo of 3 smiling women, Sophia, Mia, and Lila, taken on day 1 of their trip. The locket's discovery sent a jolt through the investigation. Forensic analysis dated it to 2005, its wear matching the women's timeline. But how had it ended up there, miles from the lake crevice? Elena's mind raced. Had Brooks missed it in his haste, or was someone else involved? The knife, still unclaimed, loomed larger. She ordered a discreet dig, enlisting geologists to map the area's water flow. Their findings stunned her. A flash flood in July 2005, triggered by a rare storm, could have carried debris from the crime scene downstream, depositing the locket and knife near the falls. The theory fit. Brooks might have dumped evidence, only for nature to scatter it. Back at the station, Elena reviewed Brooks' confession tapes. His breakdown had been raw, admitting to the attack, the drowning, the hiding, but he'd never mentioned the locket or knife. Was he protecting someone, or had panic erased details? She pushed for a deeper dive into his ranger logs, uncovering odd gaps, hours unaccounted for on July 15, 2005. Cross-checking with weather data, those gaps aligned with the storm's peak. Had he returned to move evidence only to be thwarted by the flood? The possibility gnawed at her. The public latched onto the new clue. Online forums erupted, theories ranging from a second killer to a park cover-up. A podcaster, Jake Rollins, aired Echoes in the Forest, dissecting the locket find, his gravelly voice drawing millions. Javier Ramirez, now a vocal advocate, appeared on the show, holding the notebook. "This isn't over," he said, eyes fierce. "Someone knows more." The attention pressured authorities to reopen the case, though funding remained tight. A task force, led by Elena, formed in September 2008, vowing to chase every lead. They retraced the flood path, finding a shallow cave near the lake, its entrance choked with debris. Inside, a ranger-issued first aid kit, Brooks's name etched inside, lay abandoned. Nearby, a scrap of fabric, pink like Mia's jacket, clung to a rock. The cave suggested a staging ground where Brooks might have planned or panicked post-crime. Divers searched deeper waters, unearthing a backpack strap, its buckle stamped with Lila's initials. The pieces painted a frantic scene. Brooks dragging the bodies, losing gear in the storm's chaos. Interviews followed. A retired ranger, Tom Hargrove, recalled seeing Brooks near Solduke that night, soaked and muttering. Thought he'd been caught in the rain, Tom said, shrugging. The timeline clicked. Brooks could have been moving evidence when the flood hit. Another witness, a camper from 2005, described a ranger watching her group intently, matching Brooks's build. The pattern thickened, but no new suspects emerged. Families clung to hope. Daniel Chen funded a private investigator who dug into park staff records. A name surfaced: Dale Morrow, a maintenance worker fired in 2004 for theft, rehired in 2005. His route included Solduke, and he'd been seen with Brooks drinking after shifts. No hard proof linked him, but his silence during questioning raised flags. Elena pushed for DNA on the locket. Results pending. It might hold a second profile. The cave find shifted narratives. Had Brooks acted alone, or did Morrow help dispose of evidence? The locket, a personal item, suggested intent beyond rage, perhaps theft or trophy-taking. Elena theorized Brooks killed in a fit, then enlisted Morrow to clean up, the flood ruining their plan. Without bodies or confessions, it was speculation, but the cave's isolation supported a cover-up. By 2009, the task force scaled back, resources exhausted. The locket went to a museum exhibit, Lost Trails, alongside Mia's notebook, drawing crowds. Javier spoke at the opening. They deserve the truth. Priya Patel planted a tree there, its growth mirroring their legacy. The park added safety signs, report suspicion, a direct nod to the women. Rumors persisted. Hikers claimed seeing a figure near the cave, flashlight flickering. Elena dismissed it as folklore, but the unease lingered. Brooks in prison refused further interviews, his silence a wall. If this story gripped you, hit like and subscribe for more chilling tales. The forest hides more. Stay tuned. The museum exhibit, Lost Trails, opened its doors on March 15, 2009, a somber celebration of Sophia, Mia, and Lila's lives. The locket and notebook displayed under glass like sacred relics. Crowds shuffled through, whispering about the cave find and the unanswered questions, the air thick with a mix of grief and curiosity. Javier Ramirez stood by the display, his jaw tight as he read Mia's final words again. Heard steps. Sophia's spooked. Hope it's nothing. The DNA results from the locket arrived that day, delivered to Ranger Elena Vasquez's desk at 4:53 p.m. Watt, September 5, 2009, 4 years to the day since the women vanished. The report hit like a thunderclap. A second profile, male, not Brooks. The match pointed to Dale Morrow, the maintenance worker with the murky past. Elena's pulse raced as she dialed the task force. The cave, the knife, the locket, it all clicked into a darker story. Morrow, fired in 2004 for stealing park supplies, had returned in 2005. His rehiring a favor from a friend in administration. His route included Solduke and the lake area, and his drinking buddy Brooks gave him access to restricted zones. Investigators theorized a grim partnership. Brooks killed in a rage. Morrow helped dispose of the bodies, pocketing the locket as a keepsake. The flood scattered their plan, leaving evidence behind. Elena ordered Morrow's arrest, her voice steady despite the storm inside. Morrow was tracked to a trailer park in Aberdeen, Washington, living under an alias. On September 10, 2009, agents knocked, finding him pale and jittery. Confronted with the DNA evidence, he crumbled. It wasn't supposed to go this far, he muttered, chains clinking as they cuffed him. His confession spilled out. He'd seen Brooks attack Sophia after she challenged his presence at their camp. Panicked, Morrow joined, helping drown Mia and Lila in the lake to silence witnesses. They hid the bodies, but the storm forced a retreat, the locket slipping from his pocket. Harlan said we'd be fine, Morrow sobbed. I just wanted the cash from her gear. The trial began in January 2010, a sequel to Brooks' case. Morrow pleaded guilty to accessory to manslaughter, receiving 25 years. Brooks, learning of the betrayal from prison, raged but stayed silent. The courtroom was packed. Families, reporters, park staff. Javier testified, his voice breaking as he described Sophia's fight. Daniel Chen read Mia's notebook entry, tears falling. Priya Patel spoke of Lila's laughter, now a memory. The judge's gavel fell, sealing justice, but the hollow look in their eyes spoke of scars that wouldn't heal. The park evolved. By 2011, Olympic boasted the nation's strictest ranger oversight, annual audits, and a Safety First campaign funded by the Sofia Ramirez Fund, now at $200,000. Hikers carried whistles, maps marked with emergency beacons. Elena, promoted to regional director, oversaw the changes, her office a shrine to the women, photos, the locket's replica, a plaque reading, "Their courage reshapes us." The cave was sealed, a quiet grave, its story etched in park history. Rumors persisted. Campers swore they heard splashes near the lake, saw a ranger's shadow. Elena dismissed it, but a 2012 hiker photo, blurry, indistinct, sparked debate online. Experts called it a hoax, but the legend grew. The women's spirits, some said, guarded the trails, a bittersweet watch. Javier hiked yearly, leaving flowers, his sister's spirit his guide. Daniel's memoir hit bestseller lists, its proceeds building a ranger training center. Priya's garden expanded, a haven for hikers' families. The case closed files but not hearts. In 2013, a documentary, Unseen Watchers, revisited the story, interviewing Morrow in prison. He claimed Brooks planned more attacks, stopped only by the flood. No evidence supported it, but the chill lingered. Elena retired in 2015, leaving a legacy of safety, her last patrol a silent tribute at the plaque. The women's impact endured. The fund sent 50 girls on expeditions by 2016, their stories shared online. A trail, Patel's Path, opened in 2017, winding through the Ho, its signs urging vigilance. The park, once a crime scene, became a symbol of resilience. For Sophia, Mia, and Lila, the forest holds their laughter and their loss. Their deaths exposed a predator, reformed a system, and inspired a generation. If this story gripped you, hit like and subscribe for more chilling tales. Share if it moved you, and stay tuned for more mysteries the wild hides. The emotional core? Trust betrayed, then rebuilt. Their legacy warns and heals, a testament to human strength.